Hello there guys, it's Stephen here, back with another video, and you've all seen last night's game now. I've only just watched it myself. I was out last night playing a gig with my band, which went very well. Thank you for asking if you were going to. But yes, you've all read about it, you've all seen the match reports, you've all seen the goals, you've all analysed it, done the Twitter debates and all that kind of stuff. And in general, I want to talk about one person today, Sergio Aguero. We'll get to him in a second, but I just want to say generically, great game, great performance, full of dynamism. It struck me watching that game how much flair we had, how much pace we had. And I only sat and watched it this morning, and I was probably in a privileged position to be emotionally unattached from it because I already knew the score. It's quite cathartic watching a game knowing what's going to happen, so you don't stress about it, and you see maybe with slightly clearer eyes because you're not biased by any emotional judgment at the time. So with that in mind, it was then fascinating to watch a man that looks reborn in the last few games. Sergio Aguero, King Kun, once star who maybe has waned a little bit recently. I think that's probably a fair comment. But last night was the rebirth of a man that doesn't probably need to be reborn. He's still a wonderful talent. I thought Sergio was fantastic. I'm going to run through a load of points why he was so impressive last night. Because I think there's a lot to talk about. The main place to start has to be his work rate. Now, Sergio has been accused of being a little bit lazy in the past, and I think it's taken, obviously, Gabriel Jesus to maybe shake him out of that slumber a little bit. His work rate was phenomenal. He was chasing down Huddersfield players, he was pressing from the front, and he was also chasing back and winning the passes that he'd lost himself. There was one moment in about 65 minutes in where the game was already long won, and he went on a run, driving at the heart of the defence, and he lost the ball, but it was a reaction to that impressed me the most. He first chased the first player, then when that player passed on, he then chased back to the other Huddersfield player, running 30 yards to his left and closed down a clearance, which led to City winning the ball back over again. And it was that kind of little attention to detail that I saw Guardiola on the sidelines there, standing up and applauding his work rate and his desire. And it was fantastic to see. It's something that maybe has been missing from his game recently. Maybe it's something that went to this kind of wayside a little bit under Pellegrini, who maybe was just kind of content for him to stand there and score goals. But that was the Aguero that joined City a few years back. That was that young, sprightly Aguero full of pace and desire. And it was good to see. He even looked fast again. That was the biggest boon for me from this game. It was great to see the Aguero of old with energy and pace and running at defenders. Recently, he's looked a bit cumbersome, almost like a slightly more beautiful Wilfred Bonney. He looked slow in possession, he looked like the ball was running away from him constantly, and he didn't have that same turn of pace. But it goes to show you that football is mostly in your head. Football is a confidence game. Any sport is. People react to situations differently, even physically when they're confident. It's why keepers look bigger when they're making great saves. They look confident, and when they look smaller, everything goes past them when they're lacking form. It's the same with strikers and same with outfield players in general. They look sharper, they look faster when they've scored a goal. They look more alive. And it's the same when you play five-a-side football as well. You get that boost of energy, adrenaline gets you going, and you react to things quicker to those around you when you've scored a goal. You're in a good moment. And Aguero, last night, he looked like that. He looked faster, he looked sharper, still maybe not lightning quick like Sane was, but he looks a lot faster than he did 2 or 3 weeks ago, put it that way. And that's what will stand him in good stead. That is the Aguero that we all know. I was also really impressed as well with his versatility. That was also another trait we saw of the Aguero Atletico and in his early days at Manchester City. He was switching places a lot more. I remember one spell in particular where he drifted out to the left and Sane was cutting in through the middle. And he showed a greater understanding maybe what Pep wants from him, that complete forward with a complete interaction across the front three. Sterling, Sane, Aguero, all interchanging positions, and the attack as a result looked a lot more fluent. It looked a lot less predictable. It must have been a nightmare for Huddersfield defenders to try and defend against, and it's something that we definitely need to see more of, and something that obviously Gabriel Jesus is very adept at. But there's no reason Aguero can't do it himself. He's done it before. I'm sure he'll learn to do it even more so under Guardiola. It's nice to be able to see him switch around with Sane and move into different roles and not just clog up space in the centre of the pitch. It was a complete forwards performance from Aguero. Not only was there goals, not only was there work rate, there was also creativity. It didn't all come off, but I saw a few beautiful passes. I saw a few 1-2s, first-time passes to Sterling and so on. And obviously, the biggest moment of that game for me was the assist for Zaba and the celebration. He dropped to his knees like he just clinches the title. And I got goosebumps watching it, even though I'd already know the score, or even though I'd already known that he was going to set up Zabba, I watched it and I just thought, oh, that is a man who loves this club. Do not question his desire. Do not question his love for this club, because that meant a lot to him. That meant to him more than any goal last night. And it's because maybe it was a part of a game that he's been criticised for, and it was his own work rate and tenacity to get the second ball that created that chance for Zabba. And that is a big part of any Guardiola forward. And he showed it against Monaco, he showed it against West Brom as well, and against Barcelona this season, that he can be the complete forward that can assist goals, that can create, that can get forward. And if he keeps that up, well, Gabriel's going to have a hard time trying to get back into the team too. And on that note, maybe it is the value of competition. It's probably very fair to say that he became a little bit complacent. Aguero is a wonderful player, and by all accounts a decent human being. He seems like a nice bloke, always smiling for the cameras, but he seems instinctively laid back. He isn't a fighter like some are. He seems to be very much a man who likes life in the slow lane, I would say. He works, obviously, he trains hard, I don't doubt that. I'm sure he's a good pro, but he doesn't look like he's the most incredibly self-motivated person in the world. And someone like Gabriel Jesus, a young, plucky upstart with loads of ability from a rival footballing nation, challenging his authority, challenging his position, that is good for Sergio. He needs that kick up the arse. I think everyone needs that kick up the arse sometimes. Doesn't matter how good you are. Only a few people can be truly self-motivated without any form of competition. Some people do it automatically. Ronaldo, your Messis. These players are just... they are freaks of nature. But Aguero maybe needs a little bit of fight. He needs that someone pushing on him to just push him to greater things. And it looks to me like Gabriel Jesus, and then the form of Sterling, then Sane's arrival, these young, exciting flair players, these could bring the best out of Aguero. And that's no bad thing. We have to have competition for places. You can't just have Aguero or Gabriel Jesus. An elite team, a proper world-class team, has both of these players in the squad, and they make it work. They rotate, they keep these players fresh and hungry. And that's what we need to do with Aguero. That's what we need to do with Gabriel Jesus. We need them both going forward. And a Manchester City team with both of those in the squad is always stronger than one with just one of them. Aguero is a special player. Too many people have given up on him already, too quickly. Look at Yaya Toure. About a year ago, we would have written him off, and now he seems almost undroppable under Guardiola. If you can do that to 30-plus Yaya Toure, who's had far too much cake, and in general, well, now he's got himself fit again. Fair play to him. But in general, looked a little bit lazy, a little bit lethargic the past years. And that's putting it kindly. If you can do that to Yaya, what can you do to 28-year-old Sergio Aguero? A man blessed with ability. Some players take a little bit longer to adapt to a system. But that's fine. They're all human. They're all different. But if it takes a little bit longer, so be it. He is 100% worth the wait. He is Sergio Aguero, a world-class player, an incredible finisher, a great player who's changed the course of this club's history. More than once. So he deserves our patience. He deserves our respect. That's 22 goals now this season for a man who apparently was past it. I don't know. People say this whole stat padding thing, but I think that genuinely simplifies the game of football. This whole anyone could stat pad thing. If that was the situation, Danny Welbeck would be sat there with 20 plus goals per season. He doesn't. And the reason is because it's not easy to stat pad. You can say that whatever you like, but I would take someone who's guaranteed to score goals every single bloody week against the lesser teams. That is a skill in itself. And this whole not against the top teams, he doesn't do it anymore, that'll be exposed once again for the nonsense it is when he rightly rediscovers his form. Aguero is a wonderful player. He's a special player. He's a player that's grown his identity at this club, and we should value him. We should encourage him to be even better. Get behind him because he remains our player. Don't give up on him so quickly. Do not do that, because we'd only regret it. I hope to see him around City for many years to come. I hope he's there teaching Gabriel Jesus. I hope he's teaching these players. And I hope when he's around 30 years, 31, 32, he's strolling off into the Argentinian sunset for Independiente or wherever he wants to go like that. And I hope that's the best we see of him, because Aguero, not a City, would be devastating. I know we have to move on at some point, but we're far from that position yet. Guardiola was right to say that's the best he's seen Aguero. That was the complete forwards performance. You can write off, say, it's only against Huddersfield if you want to, but that is fundamentally misunderstanding the importance of desire and work rate. That's what was so exciting about Aguero last night, and that is there or not, regardless of who you're playing. It doesn't matter if it's Huddersfield, doesn't matter if it's Barcelona. That whole work rate and desire, that's what you're looking for a player like him, and he had it there in abundance. But anyway, guys, I didn't want to do a match reaction. I wanted to talk about Aguero because everything else had already been covered by everyone else, and I'm just glad to see him back. Let me know in the comments what you thought his performance and so on, and cheers. And also, thank you to all those who've since donated to my Patreon since the last video. And yeah, cheers. The support, as ever, is appreciated. Guys, subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a big thumbs up. and I will see you for the preview for the Sunderland game. See you later.